Okay, it's been a long time, guys. Years actually, 3 or 4. This is a project I'm working on for a customer. I'm not going to give any names, but it's a '69 Camaro, and so far I've done all the electrical. It's a Sniper 2 EFI. Um, the vintage air conditioning system. The customer had already bought most of this stuff before I even saw the car or anything, so I'm kind of making what they bought work. I probably would have went with a serpentine belt system. I think they discussed it, but it was a little more expensive, but it would have been better. But anyway, it's going to be a really cool car. It's a 350, probably around 425 horse ish. I don't think they dynoed it, so hard to say. We got this fender off because of the power antenna, and as you can see, there's air conditioning stuff. This will all be under the fender, just to keep it as clean as possible under the hood. There's still like that fuel line coming up back here. It's wrapped in heat protection, and we did a returnless system, so it's Holley provides. This is new from Holley as far as I know, or at least not that old. The fuel tank actually has the factory fuel sending unit with a fuel pump, and the return is literally built into the pump, so it returns to itself. It's self-regulating, kind of like the Sniper 1 systems that used to have the regulator built onto them, so it would deadhead onto the unit, best of my memory. It's been a few years, but the new systems are return. They want you to use a return or to do it like we did this one with the return built into the pump, and they also make a filter that'll do a return, but you have to add a return line into the fuel tank. So, but this one's really neat. For the horsepower range we're running here, it's perfect. If you're going to do anything above 450, you're probably going to want to do a return system minimum 6 AN or 3/8 front to back. You get up closer to 1,000, you're probably going to want to step that up to a bigger fuel line, because it's amazing how much fuel an engine can use when they start getting into 1,000 horsepower range. Red top battery. This is a disconnect for the amp in the trunk that's not mounted yet. And then I did relays and junction blocks and all that stuff for the air conditioning is all there. Horn we don't have yet. He's actually talking about getting a train horn, which would be interesting. So there's a relay there for stage 2 on the air conditioning, which is also wired off the Sniper system. So if it requires anything above 220 degrees or 210, I think is what I was going to set it at, that the second fan comes on if the air conditioning is not running. But if the air conditioning is running, then it drops out the other relay. So that way it's not interfering. And if the AC's on, that fan right here is always running with the air conditioning. So you're pulling air through the condenser on that side, especially because that's where it exits from the condenser in the front into the dryer. So to me, it just made more sense. And then the other fan is on, I think they're going to set it at 190. And I think they have a 180 thermostat in this thing. Like I said, this was all put together before I got here. I'm just doing mostly wiring for them. I did install the master and proportioning valve, wired up the brake light switch. It has an aftermarket hydraulic clutch with a Timken 5-speed, I believe it is. He modified the factory wiper to go inside here. There's a kit you can buy that relocates it, and then you just run the wire through the firewall. And this is a bracket that wires under, so it's protected, and it's not, none of this moves right here. It's just this one rod that moves the wiper arm. It's pretty cool. And then power windows, front and rear. It's going to have a center console and all that wiring you see right there, connectors, all of it. I had to custom make all of it, and it looks like crazy chicken scratch at the moment, but once all these panels start going back in, it'll actually clean up real nice. And we're going to do some Velcro ties in the dash for stuff like the dash itself. When it comes out, you can just unstrap the Velcro and be able to have some excess wire to pull it out and work on it if need be. Same thing with the center console and the radio. That's why there's so much on this pigtail. I'm actually going to coil that up with Velcro tie, just because if you're working on that stuff, man, it's a pain when you can't get to it. So that just makes it a little easier. The Sniper 2, I actually mounted the spark control box is right there, and then the controller is right there behind the dash, and I'm actually gonna, it's sitting there on its own, but I'm actually gonna put some 3M Velcro there, so if you ever have an issue with the solid state relays for the fans or anything for the fuel pump, you can actually just pull it down and there's enough wire to actually lay it in the floor and work on it. Thank God. I like to make things to where you can work on them. It is a hot rod, so you know nothing lasts forever. You want to be able to work on it. We've discussed putting the dash console thing, which is laying there on the floor. It's face down, but it's actually in its cover, so it's the screen's protected. But we're thinking about just leaving that behind the dash because he actually likes the factory gauge looks in the cars. So that's what the customer wanted. So we didn't do a Dakota digital dash or none of that. It's actually going to be the pods in the middle for oil pressure and volts and all that. And then the dash will have the tack, clock, like the normal 69 Camaro SSRS stuff had. And I believe he's doing white piping and centerpieces on the seats and in the package tray. As you can see, it's going to be the SSRS look with, you know, old school torque. I think those are Torker wheels, Kragers. Yeah, so, you know, nothing super fancy on that part, but just a nice clean. This car is a full resto. It was like really rough. They had to put floors, quarters. I mean, it was rough. So it's come a long way from the before pictures that I saw. Still have a lot to do, but it's not far from cranking now. I think that's all for today.
Yes, sir. Go for it.